Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of investments, and more specifically, we're going to focus our understanding on inflation. So what is inflation? Now, inflation is the increase in the price of goods and services over time. So as time moves along, things become more expensive. All right, this means that the amount you can buy with your money becomes less over time. And the reason for this is because your money stays as a fixed value. However, inflation is not fixed. Inflation continues to grow. So what you could buy for $50 today will be less than what you can buy in 5 years' time, because your money, your $50 today is still $50 in 5 years' time, but inflation has caused things to increase in value. One other thing you need to know is the real rate of return. So the real rate of return is basically a percentage increase of the future value of an investment compared to the value the original investment would have risen under normal inflation. So basically under inflation, that's the generic inflation rate that you would be given. But the real rate of return, we can work that out using our future value and the original value of an investment over time. And we'll go through and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to look at an example question here. Now there's 4 things we need to figure out for the example question, and they're listed in dot points, but I'll read the question to you. So Mr. Keogh bought 700 shares at $2 each and sold them 3 years later for $2.40 each. A flat brokerage fee of $25 was applied to each transaction, and the inflation averaged 2.8% per year over the time period. So we're now going to figure out the total cost of buying the shares. We're going to index the total cost for inflation. We're going to find the total proceeds from selling the shares. And then I'm going to talk you through how to find the real annual rate of return for your investment. All right. So first of all, we need to find the total cost. All right. So the total cost is our 700 shares multiplied by $2 each. Okay, that's going to be $1,400. But remember, we've got a brokerage fee, a flat rate of $25. So we need to add $25 for the brokerage. But then we also need to add 10% on top of the brokerage. And that's going to be, I'll get rid of that equal sign. That's going to be plus 2.5. All right, so that's going to give me a total cost of $1,427.50. All right. And now it says index the total cost for inflation. So I'm going to take that total cost that I've got, $1,427.50, and I'm going to multiply that by the average inflation per year. Now, we've had it for 3 years. All right, it's gone up 2.8% every 3 years. So if I multiply that by 1.028, so that's 102.8%, and I do that for 3 years, that's going to give me a total of $1,550.80. Okay, so that's what it would cost now after 3 years. All right, the initial shares that I bought would now cost me $1,550.80. All right, what we've done then, okay, we now need to find the total proceeds of selling the shares. So if I'm taking the shares and I want to sell them for $2.40, all right, I've got my 700 shares and I want to sell them for $2.40. That's going to give me $1,680, which is great. But I only need to take off $25 for my brokerage. And I also need to take off 10% of that for my 10% fee of the brokerage. All right, that's going to give me a total of $1,652. Okay, so $1,652.50. Now, basically what I'm going to do to find my real annual rate of return is I'm going to use my calculator to do this. And I'm going to press the menu button on my calculator. I've got the instructions down here in case you need them. Okay, press the menu button, and then I'm going to press the financial button. All right, should give me a list. And if I press F2, that should give me compound interest. And when that happens, you're going to have a list, all right, that's come up. And you're going to have something like N, I, PV, PMT. These are all going to be on your screen, by the way. FV will be the next one, or should be the next one. PY, and then CY. And I'm going to just put my data in from this question. All right, and I'm going to press 3. Interest rate is the thing I want to find. So the annual rate is the interest rate, which I'm trying to find. I'm going to leave that as 0 because I don't know what it is. My PV. Now, my PV has to be a minus number, and that's the number that I initially started with. That was my initial cost. So that's 1,427.5. My PMT is going to just be 0. My final value is going to be my total proceeds from selling the shares, which I've just calculated. So 1652.5. PY is just going to be 1. CY is also going to be 1. So once I've done that, down the bottom of my screen, I'm going to have a few options. I want to press F2, and that's going to calculate my interest rate. And what I should be able to then get, if I get an interest rate of 4.99%, or we can round it up to 5%. Okay, so here's a practice question I'd like you to have a go at. It's very similar to the example question we just went through. Please feel free to pause the video. When you think you got the right answer, continue the video and we'll see how you went. Okay, so the first thing you needed to do was look at the cost of buying the shares. So we've gone through this process here. All right, we did that in our example. This time the brokerage had a flat fee of $20, which gave you this part. Also had a 10%, which gave you that, and that gave you the total cost. Now, this is only a 2-year, or they had the shares for 2 years, I should say. So this is year 1, this is year 2. In the example, I just indexed it. All right, so you could actually have done 1272 by 103 to the power of 2. That would have been fine, would have given you the same answer. Then we're looking at the consideration of when we sell them and the profit we make. Again, we're taking off our $20 fee and the 10%. And now we're using our technology. So we're looking at compound interest. We're putting in our values that we've got. So N is 2. So the values are here. N is 2. We don't know what our interest rate is. PV has to be a negative number, which is the total cost. FV is a positive. PY is 1. CY is 1. Pressed F2, and I'm hoping that you ended up with something that looks like this, which is a rate of 4.65%.